Thank you so much, Analyst Desk, and welcome to the casters. It's Quickshot and Guldborg, bringing you hopefully 5 games between Fnatic and Misfits. And of course, we're just about to jump into draft. So Guldborg, what are you focusing on as we turn our attention to the draft?
I think one thing specifically at the beginning is the Xin Zhao Viegos that we've seen. And the Rogue Misfits, it was hugely contested by the two teams, but Fnatic and Vitality, they just completely opted in to ban it out, so we barely saw it. And then again, Camille as well in the Misfits Rogue series became a pivotal champion to even the point where Rogue started first picking it.
I mean, it is exactly what they were talking about in the analysis just moments ago. Adapting to your opponents during the course of the series. You come in, you get to test your theories in game 1, but you need to pick up 3 wins in this best of 5 to advance and face G2 Esports. Now, Misfits, as they were coming from the upper bracket, they had side selection, and they elected red side for today. We know that on Misfits, you want to look at the top half. You want to see HiRit, Razork, Vetheo pop off for the wins, and for Fnatic, it's investing resources into upset. So let's see whether or not red side and potentially counter picks can help Misfits out.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. Misfits on red side as well against Rogue, so it seems like it's just a, in general, quite experienced way for them to start the game here. Both teams actually lost their first game in their series as well, so that adaptability is for sure going to come in later. But you touched on it briefly, Trevor. The bot side for Fnatic, it's something that they started investing in a lot in the early drafting, to the point where they would first pick an AD carry on the red side for upset. The Xayahs, the Ezreals, and all these champions where he's got agency for himself, can carry later, and then counter pick for Hylissang.
Now, of course, for Misfits, they had a, let's say, small taste of strong bot lanes last week against Rogue. They banned out a couple champions into Han Summer and ultimately did not necessarily help them out. And as we turn our attention to this draft, Thresh, Kalista banned from Misfits, Xin Zhao, Jace, and Varus taken outside of the pool, so Viego still open and available.
That's the thing I'm looking at here, because right now Misfits gets to dictate it. Do we just want to give it over, or do we want to let Viego open? And they actually opt into doing that, so they take away the Twisted Fate, stop some of this proactivity around the map where you can play for the map, and then just instead go for the Viego. So what is the response pick going to be? Because quite oftenly here, we started seeing the Lee Sins instead. I think Volibear is a champion that a lot of people have forgotten about as well, that we can still come out and see in a draft like this.
And of course, it is something that is a bit of a comfort pick for Razork. Has played that many times in the past. As I'm taking a look down the list, probably about his 7th or 8th most played champion, 50% win ratio on that. And of course, it'll be the Camille locked in as well as the LeBlanc. Camille, you were talking about just a moment ago, and we were ideating what impact LeBlanc could have on this series.
I genuinely think LeBlanc right now is just a champion with very few counters as well, to the fact that she gets a lot of priority, and that's very important for Misfits as well, specifically from the midpoint to the point where you can move that priority up towards the top side. So it's going to be interesting to see what Fnatic has planned for this champion, because they knew that it would come out, and it is going to be the Lee Sin. So top side of the map for Misfits have been rounded out, and on the side of Fnatic, you do get the Lover's bot lane, the Xayah, the Rakan, the agency for upset, and Hylissang.
Oh man, and of course the fact that Hylissang will be able to engage, the fact that upset will be able to dodge some of this burst or this pick power that Misfits can put together. Now we move into phase 2. One of the things we already starting to notice with the Camille, with that LeBlanc, there is some side lane pressure that Misfits can apply, and it is an area where they've exploited to pick up wins. Can they set themselves up well? They've already banned that Rise out now.
They definitely had, and that's what the Misfits have to prioritize right now. They've blind pinned their solo laners, and now they have to make sure that the counters gets banned away. So right now for everyone, it's just a free table for you to just get your counter champion. For Misfits, they know exactly the bot lane they're playing against. For Fnatic, they know exactly the solo laners they're playing against. So it's just, you know, free pickings, and these last 2 bans you get in the second phase is all you're going to get to try and take away some of the comfort for your opponent.
And the interesting thing as well is that with the Misfits play style, Kobbe and Vander have been relatively defensive, have been relatively relied upon in the late game and not necessarily during the laning phase. What are they going to look to lock in here? Nautilus is already removed. The Varus is already gone. Fnatic will ban away the Tristana, one of the specials champions that Kobbe has played the most this summer.
Yeah, that's the thing. So right now for Kobbe, did play a bit of Xayah, have played Tristana, one of the most champions that you said himself. And as we already talked about, it's just free pickings there. I think you decide to go with your AD carry here to find out what the full composition of Fnatic is going to look like. It's easier to round your team around a support that way. So let's see what's just going to happen. I think Ezreal is a very good shout here. Very defensive champion you can use in the laning phase. Hard to punish as well. Lots of agency for himself, and can still do a ton of damage in the late game, which is what we usually see Kobbe's role be in Misfits.
And of course, He's played that twice this summer during the regular season, both of which were victories. I think when you look at the mobility on the Misfits composition as well, the fact that these skirmishes are going to be very reaction heavy, very reactive, that Ezreal fits in well. Adam will get his hands on that Renekton, and now Nisqy, what does he run into the LeBlanc, and what are you seeing from this composition? Sylas was a successful champion for Nisqy last weekend. What does the Fnatic comp do now?
Yeah, so right now from the side of Fnatic, you can clearly see that there is still easy for Adam to play through top lane if they want to, but we saw Vetheo with the Telestroder as well, that even though it seems like you can play for top side, they quite often will put it down to bot side anyway. But the Renekton into the Camille is a favorable Renekton matchup that can get priority. Sylas did see some nerfs, so not so sufficient against LeBlanc as he used to be, but once he gets some start items in, he can still contest this champion. And then towards the bottom side of the map, the Rakan, the Xayah, your star players, clearly what you're playing for.
I mean, that's going to be all of the initiation tools. And now the last pick here for Vander is going to be Galio. Another interesting lock-in here, but this feels to me like skirmish heavy on the Misfit side.
Yeah, so from the top side, once again, it's a lot of pressure is already on Vetheo on this LeBlanc. Whenever he has pressure, it's on him to find the lane to influence, and I think it is going to go up towards that top side of the map, because if Adam gets put into a Camille Renekton matchup and does not get resources, it can still be a quite hard matchup. There's a lot of lockdown, there's the change from the LeBlanc as well, so it can be a volatile lane if Misfits gets ahead.
And that's what they're going to need to do. Of course, that Galio lock-in will be the 7th time Vander's ever played it. Very intrigued to see how he utilizes that on the map. When you consider what it can combo with the LeBlanc, the Lee Sin, the Camille, there are some playmaking tools available. Misfits Gaming looking to get to Worlds for the first time since 2017. It has been a long, long time. And of course, for Fnatic, on the other side of the Rift, they're looking for another face down against G2 and also that ticket to the World Championships. That is the stakes today as we load onto the Rift for the first game of Fnatic versus Misfits. Do or die, one last shot on the step to Worlds. And welcome to Summoner's Rift for Game 1 in this best of 5. Defensive starts here for our teams just fanning out across the Rift. No real surprises. What expectations are you going to have for the early game here? Guldborg, where should we be focusing?
Yeah, I'm definitely looking at the junglers in the beginning to see where they path, and in the beginning we might get a little bit of a skirmish here as well.
Vander's already going to get knocked up into the air. A couple of members of Misfits step forward and Fnatic instantly back away. So the warding mission currently being pressed forward, and Kobbe places it inside the bramble pit.
Well, I'm quite happy to see this because it was something Misfits didn't really do in the early game against Rogue. The jungle tracking is really important when you're solo laners is one of the lanes you can play for. If you know where Bwipo is on the map, you can design your game plan after that, try to be in the opposite map, and try to go for a counter gang, especially when you're playing a champion like Lee Sin that does have some good early skirmishing, but definitely not stronger than Viego, so it's about finding the right key moment to start that fight.
And I think as well, for Razork in particular, a player who has fallen off the pace a little bit towards the second half on the summer season as well as last weekend. It really felt as though Veteo's advantages were needed to unlock Razork in the series against Rogue. But on a champion like Lee Sin, you need to see it work. You need to see those ganks set up, and he's got a lot of tools to play with around the Rift. Now we're going to settle ourselves here into just the standard laning phases. Bwipo starting up on the top half of the map, Razork starting on the bottom.
Yeah, so you can already see right now towards the top side of the map, Adam is having a push in towards HiRit. So what that could mean can be a bit dangerous for Adam as well, because if this wave does collapse and it starts a slow push back towards him, if he gets caught up in a position where Razork is up towards that top side, because we know he is pathing up towards the top side, that can be dangerous. So he needs to crash this, he needs to start a slow push towards himself and make sure that he won't be of danger.
Well, a lot of damage already onto HiRit and pushing that way forward. HiRit was the recipient of many ganks during last week's series. Got punished a couple times by Inspired and Odo1, and this wave will look like he'll just get cleared out here well in time. So playing that one as you would like to see. No surprises for the time being. Vetheo already bullying Nisqy just a little bit in that early levels with the range matchup, and Kobbe Vander shoving into Upset and Hylissang. So kind of as you'd expect so far.
Yeah, I mean, from the side of Fnatic, pushing down towards the bot side of the map, and right now, as it seems it, we will not have no Scuttle congestion whatsoever. It should be really easy for Bwipo to pick up the bot side Scuttle, and obviously for Razork to take the top side Scuttle instead.
Well, of course, just as we do have a brief moment. Out of interest, Guldborg, do you know how many games Misfits have won against Fnatic? Let's just say this year. They're currently 4-0 over Fnatic in the regular season. Even though we watched those games, it was still a bit of a surprise to me. I think all time, you can see 2016, these two teams relatively evenly matched. And they haven't met in playoffs since 2018. Immediately you can see Engage on the bottom line. For Misfits, this is a team that now needs to deliver, right? They dropped a 5-game series last weekend. And I think they've got a composition now that you want to see them be proactive. You want to see them make those plays because it's what the champions want to do.
Oh, most definitely here. And if Vetheo can get some mid lane priority, they can try and push that up towards the top side of the map. HiRit right now is having a pretty big wave that's about to crash in towards Adam, and Razork, he is also around, so this is going to be interesting to see how this pans out. Teleports are up for Nisqy if he wants to join.
Gigantic wave in front of Adam. He's going to get caught out by that hook shot. Defensive flash away. HiRit and Razork start to escape. HiRit takes 2 turret shots, but they get the TP from Nisqy.
Yeah, and that is huge once again here. So from the fact that the slow push from Adam needed to come in through the beginning so he wouldn't get collapsed on an interesting position in the lane, so he was safe on the tower. That happened here. TP had to come through, and now they're just swapping up. Adam with his TP goes to the mid lane, so no resources would be lost. So Nisqy, he's picking up top side. Bwipo, he's picking up the mid... Oh, Adam rather, he's picking up the mid wave now.
Gonna shove that one in towards Vetheo, who currently is falling behind Nisqy. Nisqy managed to pick up so many of those minions that was pushed into tower by Misfits. And of course, that will be a small window for the teleport advantage. I still think the champions are relatively low level, so not entirely sure they'll be able to make use of it. But Adam shoves this one in, sits underneath the tower with Vetheo, and I would expect these lanes to swap. Yes, you can see Nisqy recalling already. Yeah,
but we also want to see Misfit be proactive with this because they didn't invest any summoner spells themselves here. They still have all the teleports, they still have all the flashes. And Adam right now, if he were to die, he has no way to get back into a lane with no teleport to pick up resources. So if a play like this happens again, if a slow push gets stacks from Misfit and put onto Adam with a dive, it can be quite dangerous.
It really can. And of course, that 10 CS advantage for HiRit was equaled out in the mid lane. Nisqy will be able to pull a little bit ahead of Vetheo, but this is exactly what you anticipate from Misfits, with the Camille, Lee Sin, and LeBlanc locked in those first rotations, as well as the playstyle throughout the course of summer. And now, Hylissang and Bwipo, they're going to double team onto Vander, push some wards into the Misfits jungle. It does look as though this minion wave will crash in the middle. So for the time being, with Veteo's back timer, Bwipo will have some support from the bottom lane if needed, and he started off the first dragon.
Yeah, you're completely right, Trevor, there. There's not much they can do. There's no reason to invest Veteo's teleport into this one, so they're just going to be getting the first Drake here for free. Could be the first of many, potentially, if Fnatic continues with the bot side push here, but up towards the top side. Razork and Nisqy is around here for a little skirmish.
Nisqy's got his hands on that hijack already. Here it does have the Dragon's Rage, and Veteo's currently farming in the mid lane. So here's going to use their hookshot, jump in. The X-Tech ultimatum is stolen away. Teleport comes down. Here it uses his in return. Defensive flash, and Nisqy picks up first blood. Now Razork missed the Q. Will not be able to jump onto Adam, and here comes Vetheo. Locks down Nisqy inside the river, and the chase will continue. A lot of life steal, but the execution, 1-for-1 trade.
Yeah, but I like the way Fnatic did with that one as well, and we're not done yet.
No, we're not. The taunt lands as well as the Winds of War. Fantastic knocker from Hilly to disengage Misfits. We're still not done. Guldborg as HiRit teleports back into the top lane. The sweep tactical as well as the knockup. Razork gets himself another.
And in the end, that's that teleport advantage we talked about. Look at that big minion wave collapsing onto the turret right now. Nisqy, Adam, no teleport to pick up this one. But on the bottom side of the map, it looks like they want someone else to lose some resources.
They really do. Kobbe and Vander are forced away from the wave. A plate has already been secured, and minions have slowly started to dwindle away. So many minions have been lost to Adam in the top lane. And Misfits just a minor 200 gold leads.
But this is so important for Misfits' composition as well, due to the fact of their solo laners needing to get ahead, due to the fact that if they can get out on the map in a 1-3-1 setting with the LeBlanc, with the Camille, and also having the Galio as backup, that becomes quite dangerous, as Adam won't be able to deal with that himself. You can already see now back in lane, he's struggling despite having the Renekton into Camille matchup.
I mean, he's down 20 CS. He's also been the recipient of multiple ganks here. So Yes, he is struggling because of what Misfits have done. They've executed their game plan and they telegraphed it. I mean, these were the first 3 picks here from the Misfits composition. The Renekton has not had the support necessary. Now, I think it is important to call out that while Bwipo has shown his face in the bottom lane a little bit, he has not necessarily looked for many opportunities. Fnatic and Misfits are still incredibly close on gold and effective combat stats, so Misfits need to do a lot more if they really want to garner control of the game.
Yeah, but once again, Fnatic, they're still in first on the objective. They might be losing out in some of these small skirmishes, but they picked up the first strike, and now with the reset timers that came through from Misfit, they're trying to pick up this Herald as well. But look at the rest of the map. The supports are on their way as well, so we could potentially have another skirmish unfold.
2,300 hit points. Razork jumps into the pit. Vetheo's here, flanked by 2 members, and that is the Herald secured and picked up. That's a defensive kick away, as now Bwipo is knocked back. Vetheo's trying to find the stun, and here comes HiRit as well. 4 versus 3, and Misfits find another kill. Hylissang's thinking about the engage and decides better of it. 2 Fnatic members fall, and Misfits get the Herald.
What a huge taunt for Vander in that fight as well, and quick response from Misfit, realizing that Fnatic started up the Herald, back to lane, moving up the rest of the members of the map, up to contest, and they find the Herald, they find the kills, and they find themselves in a 1k gold lead 8 minutes into the game.
4 kills to 1. The timing could not have been better. Misfits have been able to respond, once again applying pressure in multiple lanes, both mid and top, shoving into Fnatic's towers.
And now Misfits are in a position that we've seen them in so many times with a Rift Herald that they quite often use towards the top side of the map. They love getting the first turret and try to get the second tier turret as well in the same rotation with this Rift Herald. So pay in mind, while this is still active, that is something we need to watch out for.
Yeah, we really do. And of course, Misfits, they need to take advantage of it. Guldborg, you taught me the idea not too long ago, actually, that while you may have the Herald, until you actually use it, there's no guarantee on the return on investment. You need to make it work for a Blink gank or to apply some pressure. And right now, Razork is heading down bottom because Upset continues to hammer away on that tower. He's chipping away. He's taken down 3 plates already. And I think Upset has had a pretty comfortable laning phase thus far.
Exactly, and because of that Rift Herald, Fnatic also given a choice. They're giving a choice of saying, do we want to try and salvage a problem that might happen up towards the top side of the map, or do we want to cross map instead for Upset? While Misfits are devoid virgin resources to the top side, do we want to attack bot instead?
Well, the answer has not yet been revealed. We're 45 seconds away from the next dragon. There's a couple of control wards for Fnatic inside the river. 2 of them on the Misfits half of the map, which will allow them the setup. Remember, they were able to pick up the first dragon very, very early on. But if you do look at some of the items that have already been completed here, Mercury trades for Nisqy. We've already got Mythic there for Razork in the jungle. And where is he pathing for now? Currently shadowing Vetheo. Do you think Misfits fancy a fight here? Do you think they want to make a play for the dragon at all?
I mean, they could, because I just noticed that the Herald is actually in Vander's pocket and not in Razork, so it becomes quite difficult for them if they want to go up towards the top side of the map. So you can clearly see they're already adapting on the fly here and using that mid lane priority to push Razork into the enemy jungle towards the bot side.
Now, important to note, both Adam and Nisqy have their teleports available, while HiRit and Vetheo do not. The 1v1 is taking place in the top lane. A tactical sweep to slow down Adam. He manages to get the stun, culls the meek, 200 hit points, slice, dies, Hextech ultimates him, as well as the hook shot. HiRit gets out with his life. That was beautiful.
But that's also way too close for comfort. And now with the solo initiate, there's still rest of the members to be had down towards the bottom side of the map, but you can see Fnatic, they still want this turret. Remember, these plates taken, no heralds, no extra mid lane coming down here. That is just a 2v2 from Upset and Hylissang, the pressure we see from the Fnatic bot lane.
And it's something you continually see all summer long. Keep in mind, Vander did roam to help out the rest of Misfits, and inside the river, Bwipo and Hylissang, they're starting to be flanked by members of Misfits. Teleport's still not available for HiRit, who is returning to the top lane, and Adam can join the fray. So Misfits currently looking like they're going to back away. Fnatic have started this dragon off down to 3,000 hit points, and they're going to fancy themselves a fight or a steal. Razork may be feeling himself. He landed the Sonic Wave, not going to follow the Resonating Strike, and instead Razork may just concede his life here. Hylissang will have the quickness available to him and holds on to it. So, just second dragon to Fnatic.
But it's just that simple. Fnatic has the better bot side of the map right now. They have diverted their resource down towards this one, while Misfits, Did it up towards the top side.
Oh, what a fantastic stun! Not enough for the kill just yet. Finally, Razork gets focused, turns around. The teleport now available is going to be channeled into this bottom lane. There will be a reply as Vetheo and Adam now stare down the barrel. The tower has continually been chipped away from as Upset takes yet another plate. And finally, the Herald summoned. There was no play set up around it. 5 members of Fnatic in the bottom lane.
Yeah, this can be a bit dangerous for Fnatic. They haven't reset yet, and the members from Misfits are coming out. At the same time, HiRit in the top side is just getting the first turret for himself, it seems like. And now Shelly also coming down towards the bot side. Fnatic, that just forfeited to leave because they have not been back yet.
Oh man, was it a bad decision to chase the kills? Once we get some time to explore that idea, Rift Herald is being chunked down, will get the charge off and a couple of plates. So that does maintain a very small gold lead for Misfits, but it does not feel like Fnatic are out of this yet.
Yeah, but Trevor, that Rift Herald only gave gold to Vander as well, so definitely, definitely not the target you were looking for to inject any gold in whatsoever. So yes, it's a gold lead, but a very, very small one.
It really is. HiRit, of course, plus 30 CS in the top lane. In the mid lane, it's plus 10 in favor of Nisqy, and in the bottom lane, plus 20 for Upset. When Sundra picked up for HiRit as well, he's nearing level 11. This Camille will be problematic for Fnatic if HiRit is able to if he's able to set up pressure in one of these side lanes. There are a number of tools that can come to his aid. Obviously Vander with the ultimate, plus the mobility on that Hylissang and LeBlanc, they can move between lanes very, very quickly.
They definitely can, and now with HiRit just having pushed in the top side of the map, you can see him on your minimap already, rotating around other lanes, shadowing them, because he has the time where he can wait for Adam to chop the wave in again.
Well, Nisqy's going to have a respect flash there instantaneously as soon as he saw 2 members of Misfits dashing towards him. Does not want to be caught out, but once again, Summoner Spell advantage. Misfits there are pushing Fnatic to the limits. And for the time being, they've got the kill advantage in that sense.
Yeah, they need to be a bit careful though here in the jungle with HiRit clearing up by himself.
Well, Bwipo's going to look for the stun, not find it just yet. Nisqy has stolen away the Hextech ultimatum, and Razork may have found himself Rakan. Throws down the Tempest and the Cripple. Vetheo's here as well. So much damage returned onto Razork from Nisqy, and that hook shot will allow HiRit to escape. With Misfits and Fnatic, they are dancing on the edge of safety.
Yeah, they are, but Razork definitely got pulled quite low in that one, so he's forced to back off the Rift Herald. So the exchange for this one will be a turret down towards the bottom side instead for Misfits. But Fnatic, once again, the objectives are definitely in their favor. They have 2 Drakes for themselves. Their second Rift Herald now picked up by them. Objective game going very well for them.
Okay, now we're 15 minutes in, 2 towers to 1. You already talked about the Dragons. Let's look a little bit further forward here. What do you think of these 2 compositions, sort of how they scale, or how you want to see them play out this next phase of match?
I think what we just saw is a very good example of what Misfits does with their composition. As soon as HiRit have time to move to another lane, he will do so, and that's how Misfits dictate the game. Solo lane will get pressure. They will use that extra time they have from it to try and push in other lanes, where on Fnatic side instead, they're doing that so around their bot lane, and that is also a late game teamfight win condition that we quite often see in Fnatic, that they have Upset to play for.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got himself 161 CS plus 30 over Kobbe. Got the shield bow completed already, and that Xayah was so important in the Fnatic Vitality series last weekend. I think Vetheo was praising the reaction speed for Upset, just predicting and understanding where the threats come from. I do think when you see a Camille, Hylissang, LeBlanc, Galio, it'll be even more complex this time around. But then, of course, the burden of execution lies on Misfits. Every time I look at the minimap, as a quick topic change, it feels as though Fnatic's vision has been stronger. I do feel like I see more Fnatic wards, and that has allowed them a little bit more information, you know, be able to play around and allow the lanes to push aggressively when they want to.
Yeah, you're definitely right about that one, and now only with 30 seconds for the Infernal Drake to come up here with gather Fnatic the soul point, that becomes very dangerous for them. Right now, Misfits' composition don't do as well in the team fight as it might do from the side of Fnatic with the stolen ultimates as well from Sylas and the agency from the Rakan, from Upset Xayah here. So let's see how this fight around the priority and vision of the Drake is going to pan out.
All right, mid lane was pushed into Fnatic by Misfits once again. Razork, the first target, is going to wall hop over. HiRit, Hextech ultimatum comes down, but Bwipo's buying some time thanks to the stopwatch. That allows the hero's entrance from Vander. Razork re-engages once more, but he's focused down by 4 members of Fnatic. It's Nisqy that gets the kill. Kobbe's running for his life as Vetheo picks up one back onto Adam. Hylissang throws down the ignite and burn. Kobbe is down. Now Vetheo's running for his life. 2 for 1 as far as kills, but the third dragon to Fnatic.
Yeah, you saw how difficult it became for Misfits as well, despite finding a pick onto Bwipo. There are so many tools for him to stay alive and for them to get the pick up to Razork as soon as he jumps in. Adam even fighting 4 to 3 members of his own, and after that little skirmish for the vision control, they're just able to pick up the sole point for themselves.
Oh, I don't know if this is the right question to ask, as now Vetheo gets jumped on. He's still got the flash available, mimics the W to escape. It feels like Razork is not finding the targets, or the follow-up onto his targets is just not there. Misfits multiple times have looked to Razork and haven't found the kills they were hoping for.
Yeah, I think the minute mark you're looking back to was when Vander picked up the Rift Tower, but quickly we have this replay as well, and as you're rightly saying, Razork here by himself trying to find the kick over the wall, but doesn't really get the right insect on the angle to make Bwipo either flash or use his ultimate to get out of this situation. And because of the members of Fnatic just gathered around here, keeping Bwipo alive, it's so difficult for Misfits to actually take this fight to the point where even when they turn onto Adam, their HP bars are too low, and there's nothing they can do to contest the Drake.
And in a straight-up 5v5, I think I prefer the death ball of Fnatic to that of Misfits. Misfits really want to single out individual targets.
Yeah, you know what, Trevor, you're completely right here, because from the side of Misfits, not only do they want to single out single targets, they also want to open the map up instead with their priority. They want HiRit to be one of these side laners that they can play off the pressure with, to the point where Fnatic needs to create a response with multiple members. And if you're not at that point where you can split Fnatic up, the game becomes very difficult to play, as we just saw in this Drake fight.
I cannot believe we're 19 minutes into this game, right? 3 dragons, 9 kills, 4 towers. It has felt like non-stop action and skirmishes. The gold is dead even, but it feels as though Fnatic have had answers to most of Misfits' punches. We're 3 minutes away from the Infernal Soul. We're 45 seconds away from the Baron. And for anyone that may not remember, these two teams have had some very dramatic Baron fights in games of years past. It feels like we're going to be building up to one big team fight on one of the objectives.
Yeah, but this is also the downtime when Misfits have to utilize their composition. You can already see they're up in this 1-3-1, where the LeBlanc is up towards the top side of the map and HiRit on the Camille down towards the bottom. But Fnatic instead, they know they have the tempo. They know lanes have not clashed yet onto their towers, so they can just move up themselves.
That means they're going to take the third tower. The mid is opened up, while Nisqy's mid remains relatively healthy. HiRit will be given some alone time with that precision protocol. Big minion wave to work with. May actually be able to take this tower down. And while that's going on, the rest of Fnatic setting up some defensive vision around the Baron pit. You can see deep into Misfits jungle. Adam gets chunked out, and that is a very scary prospect to deal with. But Misfits need to be in control of the game if you want a 1-3-1 to work.
You're completely right about that one, and it's what making it so awkward for them as well. And Fnatic, they're doing a good job at sending out responses to it. Yeah, the bot lane turret did go down in favor of HiRit, but if you take a look up towards the top side of the map, Nisqy is never alone. He have Hylissang to back him up, because he know in a straight up 1v1, LeBlanc can't do much. But because Fnatic have the tempo, they can allow themselves this. They can allow themselves to be split up until the objective is ready.
Yeah, and they're farming so incredibly well. Finally, Nisqy's got himself that Mythic picked up, as well as the stopwatch. I'm looking at a stopwatch for Adam. The reason they can be so important and pivotal during the course of team fights. We're 1.5 minutes from the Infernal, so Guldborg, they start looking at how the teams are setting up for this one. It has been a very clear focus for Fnatic.
Yeah, it just seems like it's so easy for Fnatic to keep this mid lane priority going for them, and it makes the setup so easy. The vision that Misfits has just gathered is just going to be removed, and it's going to continue like this, like a pendulum. Waves go back and forth, but in the end, Fnatic, they just have more time to work with a long mid lane.
Yeah, they really, really do. And of course, all of the initiation tools available to them. They'll steal away this blue buff, back out unscathed. Now, Misfits have to catch this mid wave and push it back. Teleport is available for Nisqy. He's still up in the top lane. Well, it looks like HiRit will once again jump onto Adam. Here comes Vetheo. The teleport comes out as well. Hextech Ultimatum has been thrown down, and Fnatic are split up for a moment. 3 members of Misfits jumping onto Nisqy, and he's blown up where he stands. Adam still stands alive while HiRit goes golden thanks to the stopwatch. All of Misfits except Kobbe are now turning their attention. That's going to be a dead HiRit. Finally, Kobbe's Ezreal arrives to the fight and takes down Bwipo. All of a sudden, Upset is now going to need to be delivering a huge impact, chunking out Vander. Adam, who was the first target bit of the fight, is now the man leading the charge. Misfits, they get control, they get 2 kills, and they peel back for the dragon.
Yeah, it seems like they're going to be able to make sure Fnatic won't be able to contest this one. And Trevor, we talked about it, Misfits, they have to find a pick in a side lane, and that's exactly what they did there. 8 seconds onto the Drake, and it looks like with the rest of Fnatic backing off, this should go over to Misfits.
There is a teleport for Adam, and I'm going to keep my eyes on the minimap, but it looks as though Fnatic will concede this dragon. It's only the first for Misfits, and the gold is still very close. But Vetheo and HiRit, the 2 players that started this off.
It's a very good pickup because it's in a position where Upside is not around. And when Upside is not around for Fnatic, that becomes easier for you to fight for here. And that's why it's working out for Misfits. He was too busy clearing the mid lane. It takes too long for him to join the fight, to the point when Upside is finally around. The kills has come through, and Misfits, they can back off.
I tell you what, it took a very long time to pressure anyone else on that Fnatic roster.
Oh, yes.
Nisqy got blown up instantly. As soon as the teleport completed, Misfits piled onto him. But Adam survived the entire fight, and as you alluded to, no upset, no real Bwipo there either. Cut away, but Misfits, 1 dragon up, 1,500 gold up. And I think we're just going to reset, push these waves back, and unless someone gets caught, another objective fight.
But this is big as well because it puts Misfits in a position where they can still try to utilize their 1-3-1. And look at the response Fnatic is coming through with as well. They're putting their 2 solo laners against the Camille here instead. So if she wanted to get baited, trying to go on to Adam, then they would be around. And that is the option Fnatic has to go for, because in a straight 1v1 on a side lane, they don't win. So they always have to keep multiple members around.
And remember, that Camille, LeBlanc, Hylissang were the first 3 lock-ins here for Misfits. HiRit and Vetheo have been the 2 players that have consistently delivered when it comes to Misfits victories. And it was the 2 of them that picked up that kill there onto Adam. Just a brief reminder of the level of experience difference here, as HiRit's got himself 5 playoff games. A little bit of a skirmish in the middle lane, but look at those numbers differences. Bwipo, 67 playoff, Nisqy, 29, Upset, 48. Where the strengths are as far as experience, Misfits are relying on their youngest players.
Yeah, and with the experience coming through, they also know how to deal with these scenarios that we point out so often here. Because right now, even though Misfits are in a position they'd like to be, Fnatic are just having the right response for it as well.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, how do you read this game? It's been very close, and both teams have been able to, pick up advantages. And we'll explore that thought in a moment as the teleport is being committed. Remember, side lanes, picking off solo members of Fnatic is the game plan. HiRit throws down the ultimatum. Here comes the rest of Misfits. 4 of them on top of Nisqy with the kill secured. They turn their attention and may consider Baron.
That's the thing, 40-second death timer. You're losing the grasp of the game. Misfits right now, their thought process has to be this Baron.
That is indeed the case. There are a couple of wards here for Fnatic to play with. No ultimate from Kobbe or Vander or HiRit. Razork can disengage with a kick, and Adam's teleporting in. It's a 5 versus 4. Vetheo on the flank looking for upset, but he's caught. He's stunned. He's jumped on top of by Hylissang and taken out by Bwipo. Now the rest of Misfits are running for their lives. 4v4. Vander tries to buy some time with a taunt. HiRit will use the passive shield to at least absorb some damage, but he cannot stand toe to toe. Hylissang survives thanks to Upset's heal, and Misfits are being routed, are being wrecked. They managed to find a kill into Hylissang somehow in the fray, but the Heartbreaker from Bwipo picks up another. Not going to be able to find more. Now all of a sudden, it's Fnatic that can turn their attention to Baron.
And this bloodness of this game continues now, Trevor. They are continuing on to Baron themselves. 30-second death timers onto HiRit. 20 on Vetheo, no teleport. It seems like they're going to thread a steal on it.
Man, that blade Featherstorm thrown out from Upset. Still got flash available to him. Kobbe's trying to use those Mystic shots, but here comes Nisqy. He's managed to run all the way back to the mid lane. Still has the Hextech ultimatum and locks down Kobbe. Gets himself another kill. The rest of Fnatic, they jump back into the pit. Razork still has his flash and smite available.
I don't know if they can continue on this one because the solo laners are respawning now. It's down to half HP. Razork, as you said, still has that smite. So this is going to be crazy.
He's going to have to burger flip it. Can Razork get into the pit? Sonic Wave lands. Resonating Strike available, but will just about time out. Flash is up. Adam jumps forward. Not going to be able to kill him just yet, and Razork's running for his life. Fnatic have thwarted the threat for now. Baron is still low. Razork jumps into the pit. The final hit. It's Misfits that get the Baron. Fnatic cannot find The final shot! All of a sudden, HiRit, he's now running for his life. Vander's here, the next target. The hook shot into the GA means that HiRit will finally go down. Vetheo dashes in, dashes out. That's at least 2 Barons down. Vetheo's taking Fnatic on a run for the moment and finally stopped. But it was Misfits that stole the Baron.
Yeah, but it's not going to stop as well because there's 30 seconds for the Soul, so they need to stop these back. They need to get priority so they can pick it up because right now the death timers are just too long. Misfit, they get the Baron, but at what cost?
Well, we'll have to find out. Razork, after being focused by so many members, still gets into the pit. Fnatic split on their decision-making.
Yeah, they did. It seemed like they knew they would have to smite down. It was so close as well. 50 HP, Trevor. That is how close this became as soon as he jumps in. And, well, what a nice number as well.
Unbelievable. 37 HP and the auto-attack finished it off, if I read that correctly. Now, as we jump back into live, Gold is dead, even Fnatic just need to pick up this Soul. And it'll be Infernal versus 1.5 Barons. I mean, Vander don't matter. Infernal Soul for Fnatic, and they already have felt like they have been in control for a long passage of play.
That's the thing, because the Gold is still dead even, Trevor. Can you believe it?
But compositionally speaking, and how Fnatic have been able to force the fights, Misfits have not been able to effectively 1-3-1. Misfits have not been able to hold off the 5-man Fnatic. Razork will be the next target here, jumped on by some time with a stopwatch. The rest of Misfits not yet alive. Kobbe and HiRit finally get to their base. There's not a lot of minions to work with, but you're in a numbers disadvantage and Infernal Soul.
Yeah, I think Fnatic, they can definitely look to push further with this one. There's not a lot of wave clear on the champions that's left right now for Misfit. Ezreal barely has it. HiRit can't get access to it, so Fnatic, I think they just want to take the first game right here.
They're going to look at the Nexus 4 now. HiRit jumps onto Hylissang. He's going to pull Fnatic's attention for a very brief moment. 15 seconds before Vetheo is back alive. And Fnatic maintain the line. Minions have been cleared out, and Misfits will survive for now. But what a crazy back and forth. Misfits showing they execute on their game plan, get HiRit ahead, but they weren't able to control the side lanes well enough and suffocate Fnatic.
And Fnatic, they're in such a good position now with the bot lane inhibitor down. That means one of the members of Misfits, specifically one of their solo laners or AD, will have to deal with that. So they only need to focus on 2 lanes. They can stick together now, Trevor. And Misfits hates that.
They can't stand toe-to-toe. Can't deal with it. From the draft, the 5-man of Fnatic is working wonders. And that advantage on the top of your screen just feels so much greater. Alien upset looking for Vander. Gonna knock him up into the air. The feathers can get pulled back. Not done just yet. Teleport committed from Nisqy as well. Bwipo is just north of the rest of the team. And they will be able to take their 6th tower of the game. Guldborg, as long as Fnatic are grouped up, Misfits simply do not have the map pressure to force their hands.
The power of friendship is too strong for Fnatic right now, and Misfits, despite split up, can't do much about it.
No, they really cannot. They need to have a miracle pick from HiRit or Razork or Vetheo. And it's looking so incredibly difficult. That gold lead is now 3,000 up. The blast card delivers Fnatic into the waiting hands of Misfits, but nobody available to get locked down. And Supers will now continue the pressure. So 2 minutes to Baron, 3 minutes to Elder. And Fnatic back off. They don't overchase, they don't overstay their welcome.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I think there is definitely a scenario where they would try and push down for the mid lane inhibitor and then reset, but they're playing with a lot of restraint this time around, Trevor. They don't want to overforce or make any mistakes, specifically because we've seen what happens when people make mistakes against Misfits in the late game.
Fnatic themselves overcommitting, getting caught out just before big dragon fights, and part of the reason that Fnatic lost their most recent game during the regular season. Vetheo will be able to sidestep the chains, just out of range, almost punished in that scenario. It's going to come down to now, will Misfits be able to find a magic moment? 130 for Baron, 240 for Elder. And Fnatic, the rift is theirs. They can really push wherever they want to. What do you want to see them do, Guldborg?
Yeah, I definitely still think you stick to the top side of the map. As you rightfully already talked about, Trevor, there's not very long time till Baron is a part of this map as well. So you just want to maintain the top side of the map. You let HiRit be down towards the bottom side. You can just send Adam. He has TP. You have super minions pushing in as well. You don't have to worry about a thing. You just have to take it easy.
Yeah, take it easy. Don't get caught out. And I think a lot of credit to the recovery here. HiRit's Camille was looking to be a game changer. But Upset uncontested. We've not even talked about him this game, really. 1-0-9, quietly controlling the lane. Obviously, Vander left a few times, but he's just done exactly what his team needs him to do. And now Nisqy's going to initiate this fight. We're going to focus on the teleporters. Adam will jump into the fray. We'll get back to this in just a moment. It's Fnatic have already found themselves a kill there onto Vander. Continuing to push forward into the red buff. Razork left alone, split off from Kobbe and Vetheo. The teleports from Fnatic. We're going to be able to seal the deal here. It feels like 34 seconds on Vander. The ultimate used by Razork. Now he will just get run down. It feels like a matter of time. He's keeping Fnatic interested, taking them on a wild goose chase. But it's 6 seconds until Baron. Adam is going to be able to push down that top turret with Upset. And will Fnatic go for Baron and then final push? They may not even need it.
Yeah, but I think they're just going to push in the top side of the map. They're going to go back to the Baron, and then they're just going to go for the reset to finish what they started beforehand.
What an interesting start to the series. I think almost to expectation, right?
It was completely to expectations. That is definitely what baffles my mind, that it is just so on point. Fnatic now in the replay also grouping for the late game team fights, having someone to play from behind, Offset completely untouched. And Adam, I honestly gotta compliment this guy. I think he looks struggling against Vitality, but this time around he's had some really good performances in some of these team fights.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And remember just how much pressure he was under early. Multiple ganks to the top lane. Tower denied huge minion waves as well, but he's fought his way back, and it's with the help of the entire Fnatic squad, right? They've grouped up and they've used their 5-man stack very well. Misfits have just not been able to stand toe-to-toe in really any fight for the last 20 minutes.
Yeah, 10 seconds onto Elder. Do you believe in the Misfits Elder? Because this is what they have to get to win this game. Fnatic, they're just too far ahead, and it looks like it's going to come down to this.
Well, let's find out if they can. Upset still has the ultimate, the flash, and the heal available. Razork lands the Q, doesn't follow through. And Hylissang is threatening the engage. Vander, the hero's entrance is still on cooldown, so he needs to buy just a few more seconds while HiRit pushes out that bottom wave. Now let's take a look as again we start dancing around the Elder Drake. Bwipo is going to take a Mystic shot to the face, and Fnatic can threaten 2 objectives. They can push onto the inhibitor. Teleport is available for Nisqy. He can get the supers and then get out.
You're completely right, Misfit. They have to commit to one objective here, or else they're just going to lose out.
Well, Vetheo is going to jump forward, not get enough damage onto Bwipo. Uses the Hourglass to buy some time. Razork doesn't have the kick and is forced to run for his life. It's Adam that takes down Vetheo. Now HiRit still got the Hextech ultimatum, needs to lock up a key target and allow Kobbe to put the damage out, but they cannot stand long enough. They cannot fend off Fnatic, and Misfits have lost 2 members. Fnatic ignore the dragon, and they're pushing for the base.
Yeah, we've already talked about it. This is Fnatic turf once we get into these team fights, and now Kobbe trying to run for his life, does have the Archangel, does have the flash, but the rest of Fnatic, they're just pushing down for the first here.
Kobbe did not ever get enough time to make those Mystic shots work. Misfits were unable to use their early leads to gain control of the 1-3-1. The Nexus turrets are now starting to fall, and Fnatic with Soul, with Baron, will find another kill onto Razork. Will take out the Nexus turret as well as Kobbe. And as they take down the Nexus, Fnatic strike first in the best of 5.
You talked about expectations and, you know, coming in from the style of Fnatic, if this is what it's going to look like. Misfits, they have to make more use of those side lanes, because once you get to the grouped objective, Fnatic, they just had it from start to finish.
I mean, it's crazy because the early plays looked so good for Misfits. Here it's Camille, the recipient of multiple ganks. He got an early advantage, and it felt as though exactly what Misfits wanted from the draft was being executed, but as soon as we went past 10 minutes, they couldn't find the kills, they couldn't control the lanes.
I agree with you, but I do think they could have made more use of their early game as well. I think they came in with a game plan that could have worked as well, but that Rift Herald, as soon as it went to Vander, as soon as they couldn't use that up towards the top side of the map, everything just fell apart from them there, because they had to start to group up around the bot lane, and that's where Fnatic excelled.
As soon as you started grouping up, Fnatic's composition, greater than the sum of its parts. It was absolutely beautiful to watch. We'll soon take a closer look at Game 1, but first let's get a preview of tomorrow's series, the Spring Finals rematch between Mad Lions and Rogue. Please, 5 games. I want 5 games!
Yeah, hey, how you gon' feel when I take it? How you gon' feel when I take it? We about action, we don't say, we about action, we don't say. How you gon' feel when I take it? How you gon' feel when I take it? We about action, we don't say. We about action, tell me how you gon' feel.
Even though League of Legends is not a physical sport, there's the same eagerness and nerves before every single esports match than I had the same in swimming. It was always about getting closer to a new high that you can reach, an endless pursuit of perfection. Even though I've come so close, I don't feel bad about it. If I work harder, it is gonna happen.
Kia, movement that inspires.
You don't have a chance against me. I can calculate 90 trillion moves in advance. Not fair. Not fair.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Welcome back to the LEC Summer Playoffs. Fnatic are on their way towards a showdown with G2 Esports, and the key fight in their win was the first fight around the first Baron. So we're going to break it down because so much happened in that fight and it was absolutely ridiculous. So without wasting time, the first thing I'm going to bring up is the minimap. What does the state of the map look like? Well, HiRit is pushing in the bot wave, creating some pressure. We can see that Hylissang is sort of shadowing, making his way towards the bot side of the map. Two members of Fnatic are pushing their way up towards mid as Misfits have prio in the mid lane. And you can see that Nisqy is a little overextended here. So Misfits are saying, let's get ourselves a pick up towards the top lane. Let's see if we can and catch out Nisqy. So let's roll out the clip and let's see the collapse come out from Misfits. Because their primary goal here is, as we mentioned, to try and catch Nisqy out of position. This is an overextension. The double teleports are going to come through. The rest of the Misfits family are on their way as well. You can see that Fnatic is doing what they can to try and save the mid laner. Bwipo says, nope, I'm out of here. This is a waste of time. But this is a really good pick for Misfits because now this gives them the option to start up the Baron. So we're going to keep watching this through. We know that Renekton is going back to base. You can see that on your minimap at the bottom of your screen. And let's just pause it here real quick, because the most important part of this fight is going to come from Adam and how he notices that Vetheo is actually on the flank. I'm going to imagine that this is the ward that actually spots him out, and Adam is going to fake things out and make it look like that, oh, Fnatic have no idea that Vetheo is on the flank. But now let's play the clip, and then let's watch as Vetheo gets instantly flashed on, perma-CC'd, and dies. Now let's pause it here once more, because notice how the dynamic has completely changed now for Misfits. They had a numbers advantage, they had a good flank setup, and they were pressuring Fnatic. But now, thanks to a great play from Adam, it's Misfits that are on the defense. So let's now play the clip and continue to watch exactly what happens. So the follow-up comes through. Fnatic are basically playing front to back. They're keeping upset on the back line. They're hitting whoever's in front of them. HiRit fails his E. He gets CC'd up, which means that Fnatic are able to find another kill. Now, we're going to keep rolling through this play, and at this point you're thinking, okay, Fnatic, it's done and dusted. You've won the team fight. You've managed to outplay Misfits. That's fine. Remember that Misfits don't have double TPs available, so they're not really worried about the respawns, but the poke from Kobbe is coming through, and then he dies. So at this point you're thinking, no, it's over. It's fine. The Baron is gone, but Razork still has his smite, whereas Bwipo does not. So Adam, trying to make another hero play, goes over the wall, looks to try and gets the execute onto Razork, but they don't actually kill him. Let's pause it right here. So the smite comes down, and now everyone from Fnatic is all trying to kill Razork. Well, look at the Baron. It's a 55 HP, and no one is focusing it down. So let's now roll the clip once again. I think his E comes through. His E actually ends up securing the Baron. The solo laners come back, and they're like, hey, we can fight this, but there's no follow-up from HiRit. So Misfits end up going one at a time, allowing Fnatic to actually get pick after pick after pick. Now, overall, Fnatic get a huge amount of gold off the back of this play, and even though they end up losing the Baron, it still swung the game extremely heavily in their favor.
I saw a great comment on Twitter where they were like, even Baron is surprised and just like frankly a little bit angry that nobody decided of Fnatic to turn towards Baron to secure it. A lot happened, I think, just in that fight, but I think it also really showed at how back and forth this game was, right? And at the beginning of the show in Reddit check, I asked you, Treats, who do you think has more ability to change their plan if needed? Being, can Fnatic also rely on Adam to make the plays, etc.? And I want you to keep that in mind as we go through these replays. In the beginning, we very much saw Misfits going for the Misfits tried and true style in terms of where the jungle attention and the action went.
Yeah, they went towards top as expected, and I think, yeah, they got Adam behind, but these plays from Misfits are kind of predictable, and I think Nisqy did honestly a good job with this play, trying to cover the Misfits plays on top side. But yeah, I think Nisqy, after this TP, he countered it, but Misfits were still too strong at this point, and they still had the Misfits Vetheo TP as well, so they countered it, and Nisqy dies, so that sucks.
The reality is that Misfits just kept attacking Adam, kept attacking the top side of the map, and they really wanted to try and snowball HiRit. And you can see the repeat TP immediately. Just whenever TPs were off cooldown, Misfits was looking to try and make the play happen. And during the first 10 minutes of the game, it looked like that the top side of the map was just completely dominating and snowballing the game out of control.
And then your stats look like this when you're HiRit, when you're playing Camille, and you're in the first 15 minutes. And this is honestly what we have known and what we have seen from HiRit in the playoffs so far. But Treats, before we get to this next replay, you wanted to highlight something in terms of Adam's priorities and the fact that Adam is more willing to sack his lane in favor of the team than HiRit is, which in the end gives Fnatic an advantage.
Yeah, I think it was really impressive that Adam got so far behind in the 1v1 matchup, and he was still willing to TP to his bot lane to help them. I think it shows that he's a really good team player, and he was still performing in fights, which I don't know how it works, that you can still lose lane and still perform so hard in team fights, so props to him for this game.
Because we saw it in the Fnatic bot lane dive, right? When they were able to get a kill onto Razork, they continued to start threatening the dive and trying to get more kills on the Misfits, and Fnatic, they're just like, okay, Adam, you need to TP down immediately. And this is the replay that we were talking about, have a look at Adam's positioning right now. You can see that he's making his way back up towards topside. There are 3 plates. He doesn't care. The moment he sees a TP come from LeBlanc, instant TP from him, because he knows the Sylas is on the way. And you could argue that, like, is this really necessary? Is it worth it? They're not really converting that many extra objectives. But he's like, I'm here anyway, because this is what he often does. We talked about it in the Telestrator at the beginning of the day as well. Something that Adam will consistently do for this Fnatic squad to make sure that the bot lane is safe and getting ahead.
And I'm not going to say by any means this was a perfect game out of Fnatic. They did overstay at some points as well and overpush, but they do walk away with the win. So as we get the draft up in just a second, Treats, at the beginning we talked about, you know, who will be able to adjust the best. Now, this to me looks like a pretty bad time for Misfits because they did what they love doing. And it worked because HiRit was miles ahead of Adam, but it didn't pan out in the rest of the game. How do you think that's going to impact their draft or play strategy going into game 2 for Misfits?
I think it hurts their confidence a lot knowing that they played the style that they wanted and they still took a beating, especially with the big advantage that they got on HiRit. I don't even think they can get this reliably every game. So I think, especially for Adam, I think he's very happy with this game. He got really behind, but he was still super impactful. And with Fnatic taking the win, I'm not sure what Misfits will try to swap, but they have to do something, I think.
Yeah, let's maybe look at the draft and take a look, Vetheo, because it's never just the top lane in isolation, as we know. What are the elements you think you'd like to see again for Misfits that did work out, similarly for Fnatic?
Well, I think that prioritizing the Camille LeBlanc was good because, as we already mentioned, like, it gives them so much agency in the mid towards the top side of the map. The thing that I think really changes this dynamic is when we think back to last week when they played against Rogue, when that Fiora pick came through as an answer to the Camille. If Rogue had lost that game, things become very hard for Rogue. Because now it doesn't matter what the Camille side it's on, it's a troublesome champion. Now Fnatic have said, we don't care how fed your Camille gets. We don't care how overfed or how strong the top side is. As long as we've got upset on a carry, we're happy.
Yeah.
So I imagine that if I'm Misfits, perhaps your game plan now becomes, well, how do we get upset off of something that has this much agency? Or how do we remove that agency from Hylissang? Perhaps maybe the Rakan they consider more of the problem that gives that much peel to upset. I feel like they need to find a way to attack this bot lane and give upset fewer chances to be able to do the damage that he often does in fights. But then the other problem is Adam was really good in team fights. So
yes,
it feels like that Fnatic really did come to play and came prepared for Misfits.
Misfits played 5 games on Red versus Rogue. They kept prioritizing that counter pick for HiRit. They chose Red again for game 2. I think we're in the same boat for this one. We'll see if Fnatic can keep the momentum in game 2 as the players return to the stage in just rather a few minutes. Bye-bye.